時頃だろ。こっちが勝ったところであいつを殺しゃ丸々50両助かるんだがね。
汚すぎるぜそんな。
おだまり。それぐらいのことができなきゃお父っつぁんの後目は告げないよ。博打にきれいも汚いもあるもんかい。
そうだ、おっかの言う通りだ。人殺しの人と言われるようにならなきゃそれは立たねえ。
Hi everyone, my name's Jacob, and welcome to Clips by Kurosawa, where we'll be watching and discussing Japanese writer and director Akira Kurosawa's 8 films featured on Letterboxd's top 250 narrative features list. The film we are discussing today is the third film by Kurosawa I have seen, so I invite you to watch his movies alongside me and come back to hear my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours in the comment section. On today's episode, we are discussing Yojimbo. Kurosawa's Yojimbo, released in 1961, is a film about a samurai who claims his name is Sanjuro Gwambatake. Sanjuro arrives in a small town where war has broken out between two crime lords who seek to control the town and gauge allegiance from Sanjuro. This film went on to inspire countless westerns, which is somewhat obvious after watching. Films inspired by Yojimbo include Sergio Leone's spaghetti western film A Fistful of Dollars. Yojimbo, translated as Bodyguard, is ranked number 118 on Letterboxd and is the 5th highest ranked film by Kurosawa. The first thing that stood out to me in Yojimbo was the performances. Toshiro Mifune, once again, gives a masterclass performance. After seeing him in Rashomon as a samurai, I figured we would get a similar character, but the two couldn't be more different. In Rashomon, Mifune plays a crazy, unserious samurai. And in this film, Sanjuro is firstly a badass, but also a character that has a strong moral compass and almost no-nonsense approach. The ability of Mifune to convey the morality of Sanjuro is an integral part of this film, and if not for his incredible performance and subtle acting, Yojimbo would just be a typical action samurai movie. Tatsuya Nakadai's performance, although not as prevalent, stands out as well. Even after watching High and Low, I didn't even recognize Nakadai at first. Like Mifune, Nakadai demonstrates his true range in such polar opposite performances. In High and Low, Nakadai plays Chief Detective Takura, a man who represents justice and honor, while his character in Yojimbo, Inosuke, lacks these traits, and is instead a corrupt murderer who craves power. Despite Inosuke not appearing until about halfway through the film, he is the cutthroat villain this movie was missing. Nakadai turns out a complex and memorable performance. Something else that stands out in this film, to no surprise, is the cinematography and overall composition of each frame. I was blown away by the precise, symbolic blocking and beautiful cinematography by Kurosawa in Rashomon and High and Low, and once again with Yojimbo. Kurosawa sets the tone of this film immediately with the opening scene and when Sanjuro arrives to the now run-down town. With High and Low and Rashomon being somewhat smaller in terms of the amount of significant characters, in Yojimbo, Kurosawa and cinematographer Kazuo Maegawa do a great job of capturing the entire environment and characters. The wide shots in this film are some of my favorites and show the true scope of the town. These wide shots almost feel like the movie is set in multiple locations with how diverse they are. The composition and the scenes of just dialogue are also super diverse and once again showcase Kurosawa's masterful blocking. Like High and Low, Kurosawa often blocks characters with opposing viewpoints opposite of each other. An example of this is in the scene between Sanjuro and Ganji, the tavern keeper. Ganji is fed up with Sanjuro and how he's instigating the fight between the two crime bosses, while Sanjuro only instigates to try to end the war. At this point in the film, Ganji can't understand Sanjuro's motive and believes he is only driven by money. The characters are placed opposite, not facing each other, which acts as a symbol of disagreement and dispute. While the overall writing of both the story and dialogue are great, I did not expect for this film to be as humorous as it was. In High and Low and Rashomon, there's very little humor, with only a few moments that are light in these otherwise heavy subject matter films. In Yojimbo, while the subject matter is still serious, there are many fun, light moments that I did not expect. The use of humor is especially prevalent in the characters Inokichi and Hansuke. The moment when Inokichi looks at his fingers after the casket maker telling him how many people died made me chuckle, while Hansuke's almost childish mannerisms add some funny moments in the film. For example, when the first battle takes place and Hansuke is stuck in the middle, the way he looks around trying to get out of the way is very animated and funny to me. The overall writing of Sanjuro is also something that is noteworthy in this film. from his wittiness, overall demeanor, and morals is something that you don't see often in protagonists. In the current era of anti-heroes and morally ambiguous main characters, watching a movie with a badass protagonist who is also pretty much objectively a good person in the end is somewhat refreshing. Kurosawa's use of humor and writing of Sanjuro really proves his ability in screenwriting, in my opinion. Like the other films by Kurosawa I have seen, multiple themes can be found throughout. Yojimbo touches on pride, reputation, and morality, but the one that comes through the strongest to me is the fight against power and corruption. From the very first scene, the audience finds themselves in a corrupt world driven by power and greed. When Sanjuro arrives in town, Ganji expects and asks Sanjuro to leave after eating, something we would expect a rational person to do. Who would want to wander into a corrupt and violent place and end up staying? But Sanjuro doesn't, and instead tries to put an end to the fighting once and for all, something he eventually accomplished. I think what Kurosawa is trying to tell the audience is that even as outsiders, we should speak up and fight against corruption and greed from our leaders, whether that be in our community or another. Despite some of his actions, like murder and lying to ensure peace, Sanjuro is a symbol of justice. He is an activist in his own right and stands up against the power-crazed bosses and gamblers occupying the town. And while we shouldn't kill people just because they are corrupt, we should stand up against those who are.
しっかりしな。おい。でもおめえ、これからどうする？隣行って棺桶買ってこい。そんな気の弱いこと言っちゃいけねえよ。バカ。俺はまだ死ねねえ。死ぬ前に叩き切らなきゃならねえやつがだいぶいる。
I rated this film 4.5 stars on Letterboxd and would recommend it to anyone wanting to watch a suspenseful, humorous action film that explores relevant themes in our life. Let me know your thoughts on Yojimbo, and please join me next week when we discuss Kurosawa's Red Beard, ranked number 134 on Letterboxd. Thank you.